Test one. All right, just getting started up here. Hello, everybody. It's me, Darkcrash. Good to see you. Just getting things rolling here. Got the trading view up, the camera on. Just a quick update here today as I have some visitors that I am planning on meeting. So today we're looking at a relatively similar situation to what we were last week, but the only difference I can see ultimately is at least some minimum curling on the VWAP. So there was a bit of a kind of a shark tooth drop there, and then we more or less flattened out. But the only thing that we got to be extremely skeptical of is until this flips green, we must more or less remain bearish. And from what I see here, it is still quite chunky. So we still have not gotten past the chunk phase. And until that happens, even with the momentum still showing kind of clear sign of deviation, like until we get a better signal on the money flow and also the world events, there's not too much going to happen there other than, from what I can see, a drop and a retest of the spider line, which would peg us at. Let's expand this just a little bit. In a week or three, it would probably set us at about 6,100 Bitcoin before we ultimately flip under, recheck, and dump down further to hit the 50s, which I don't think will happen, but anything really is possible. Otherwise, as you may have seen there, we just got to clear that little itty bitty volume gap, flip, and then find support on the mid range here, and then we can work our way up to retest the spider line in this range that we've been sitting in. But until those sorts of things happen, we need to see money flow curl up. And diving down into the daily, we can see that's not so much going to happen. And it's playing out more like a micro bear claw from what I can see here. And also, we're extending our weakness. Like it did not pull as expected, especially through more or less these warning signs here. There was a lot of peaks and valleys happening way too quickly, and not enough sustained strength, as well as the money flow is still red and also spreading thin. So we see here that it was ultimately doomed to kind of more or less retrace, at least range in this area for now. At least that's what I can see. Taking a quick shot at the 4 hour. Let's recorrect this auto nice and quick. So 4 hours showing us we got ourselves a nice green dot printing on the last candle. Um, and following that, we can see some consolidation of strength, but it's on the wrong side. You got to keep in mind we need it to burn hot up here, not down there. This ultimately, to me, looks like we've got a bit of a floor coming here and possibly a drop down and go even further down. But of course, anything can happen in this day and age. What do we see here? There's that volume gap I was talking about before a recheck up in the 63s or in the mid 63s. And then, of course, crawled away up there. But we're sitting in a bit of a bear claw there. Um, Diving a little bit further in. We're going to flip to Ethereum real quick here for a quick look at Ethereum, and then we're going to have to jump out real fast here, folks. So I appreciate you stepping in for the short one. Okay. So from what I can gather here, again, it's another check and retest of the mid 663s there. All right, but now let's flip this on its head. We always kind of view the claws and the retraces and the bullish kind of side of this. Now, if we literally just flip it on its head and we realize, okay, we've had these downs, these downs, these downs, these downs, and so on and so forth, we got to understand that there's some sort of exhaustion, especially visible here through this more or less manipulation signal that we have what I feel like is jackknife and exhausted and entered more or less some sort of accumulation phase. So there's always that to consider, especially in the lower time frame. So if you're looking for that opportunity that it might rise and retest in the 63 threes or even higher as the 63 fives, that could happen. Um, but yeah, let's dial in real quick on the my favorite, the 24 minute. Um, This looks consolidated and yucky. Let's do this. Okay. Sorry, guys. There we are. That's a little better. Anyways, there was that jackknife right over here playing out in the 24 minute. And we have effectively done another micro bear claw within this. So you can see a lot of that exhaustion constantly happening. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fallout. Um, but right now it clearly looks to me like we've got some sort of seller exhaustion and that we could be pointed upwards, at least in the short term. Now, anything could truly happen. We could have that final spike down to the low 50s and even the 47K kind of range, that kind of play area. That's still possible, um, but not for long. Honestly, I think that time is starting to run out. So, not to say it's a great time to DCA or anything, but there is always opportunity out there at any point in time. So, okay, we're gonna jump quickly into Ethereum, and then I gotta get moving here. Really appreciate you sticking around. Okay, I had something going on in here. That's why we got it on colors. There. Oops. Let's readjust. That's a lot better. That's what we want to see. Okay, with Ethereum, we have ultimately turned into a very favorable situation. Ultimately, we've got to see this guy flip back down. Too much up, so she's got to come back down for another tooth. And it's likely to come and retest the old little 1800 line. We're currently at 189 or 1880, excuse me, but it could very easily just have that irk back down. And honestly, this could just be the opportunity where it bleeds back into Bitcoin briefly, and then we ultimately see the buy back in and the run up into the new bear market super cycle, which we are so hopeful for because honestly, we've seen what was going on with the money flow on Bitcoin there, and it's kind of a shocker that we haven't had as much bleed out as the last. Now, of course, it was the fallout post-pandemic money. There's a lot of profit taking there in markets across the board, so that was one thing to consider. Um, Again, I'm zooming in on the daily here, you kind of see a bit of a claw forming, but the only thing that's got me going here is the daily VWAP is curling up, money flow is there, and we've just entered that hot territory. So honestly, in the bearish, or excuse me, the bullish perspective of this for Ethereum, we're looking at a recheck of the old 2000 psychological level and up there at my proverbial 2127. So in the short term there, we're looking pretty hot. I think it's actually quite exciting for Ethereum, but there's a lot of mixed, not really signals, but mixed perspectives coming out of these time frames. So you ultimately have to find some sort of confluence as well through all the indications that are present on the screen. And that being said, and again, apologies if there is any background noise, it just seems to be lawn care day, and there's not much I can do about it at my unit. So let's see here, friends. One last look a little further down. Um, so here we go. It looks like we have. Oh, I haven't even checked chat. I've been a little bit too preoccupied here. Increase the mic volume. Okay. Sorry about that. I did not notice. How about this? Oh, maybe a little high. There we go. I'll definitely have to work on that as well as make sure that I don't peak too much. Good to see you, Jesse. Been really firing off the data here. um, yeah. Okay. So I might actually come back for a video later this week. Um, Not thinking of releasing it later than either Wednesday or Thursday, but it'll probably just be a short update, just to cover a few altcoins because we didn't have the chance to do so today. All right. So Yeah, it's looking pretty flat, everybody. Not a lot of money going in. Summer's kind of wrapping up. Parents are kind of getting their kids back to school, getting those goods out. So there's a lot of that happening. And of course, I'm sure they're going to turn their attention back to the markets shortly thereafter. At least that kind of demographic will. But there's a lot going on. So yeah, again, just to wrap up real fast here, Ethereum, nice and jagged, it seems. There's a lot of little price action moves that you might be able to catch. Likely a very nightmarish situation for people on high leverage, but also high risk, high reward, right? So if you can really find those opportunities in between, even on the micro time frames, then you can really seize the best of it all. So yeah, again, thank you all for coming. I just wanted to say thanks again for Jesse. Could be increased a little more, I think. Okay. I'll play around with that and the feedback as well as looking at this video myself after the fact. But yeah, again, um, yeah, uh, it's always fun having you guys in here, no matter who shows up when, before or after. This is Dark Crash. Just a friendly reminder to drink water, and we'll see you again next Sunday.